Hi, I'm Tom Lydon, editor of ETF Trends, and I'm here in Chicago at the Morningstar ETF Invest Conference with Doug Hodge, Chief Operating Officer of PIMCO. Doug, thanks for grabbing a few minutes with me. Appreciate it.
Tom, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you. Listen, PIMCO's done an unbelievable job in the active ETF space, one of the pioneers in that area. Give us some ideas. I mean, to some degree, it was a bit of a risk for PIMCO to go there, but it's really worked out well. What was the thought process behind that?
You know, you're right. It absolutely was. It was a risk for us. It was an uncharted territory, not only for PIMCO, but for the entire market in active ETF, particularly in fixed income. And it was really, and I mean, quite frankly, it was Bill Gross. It was Bill who was very insistent that we launch BOND because we want to provide access. What ETFs do and what active ETFs do at PIMCO is provide investors, particularly individual investors, access to the capital markets, and in our case, access to our active management at PIMCO.
Well, I know that they've been embraced tremendously by advisors, but we've got more challenges down the road, and I know this is on your radar. You know, starting with money market funds, this whole money market reform thing, there are a lot of advisors that are concerned about money market funds and looking for other alternatives. Maybe you can address that for a minute.
The regulatory environment may change the whole dynamics of the money market fund industry as we move from potentially a fixed NAV at a dollar every day, which is basically now a cash-like security, into something that has a floating NAV. So now it looks more like a bond, a short-term bond. But the bigger issue right now is what's going on in the bond markets, and the increase in interest rates over the last 4 or 5 months. I mean, it's been really a sea change in the markets since our outgoing Fed chairman introduced the term taper.
Right.
And we've seen, of course, this remarkable change in sentiment and behavior on the part of individual investors as they've exited the fixed income markets and exited fixed income mutual funds and ETFs over the last 4 months. And then the question then becomes, relative to money markets and cash, where the Fed has been rather plain in its intent to keep the cash rate, the policy rate, at basically zero for an extended period of time. And you got to listen very carefully to their guidance, because that's what they're telling us, which then puts intermediate bonds as a relatively attractive alternative to cash, even if rates modestly drift up from here.
And especially if you're in the position to maybe steer through and around some of those potholes. And again, knowing Bill Gross and his competitive nature, I know that's innate with everything he's made of. That's part of your message that you're sharing with advisors.
Well,
is that right? Yeah.
Certainly, and this is where active management can play an important role. And this is where, for example, the PIMCO ETFs, which are actively managed, whether it be our shorter term offering or the total return product, offer that opportunity to maneuver in the marketplace depending on market conditions, of course, and investment opportunities, which as rates move around here and we're trying to sort of find a new level, this is where active management can really earn its keep.
What do you see coming down the road for PIMCO? More in the active space?
In the ETF marketplace, absolutely. There's clearly a demand for active ETFs in fixed income. Frankly, there's so few of them. And part of this evolution of ETFs is going to include active and passive, just as it does in mutual funds, just as it does in other parts of the investment, the investment landscape. One of the governors of that is going to be how the regulatory environment and the regulators move forward in terms of processing new ETFs and continue to sponsor the innovation in the ETF marketplace.
Absolutely. Doug, thanks for spending some time. Please keep us updated on everything you got going on.
I'll look forward to that, Tom.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.